My wife has a lot of guy friends. I kept telling her to keep her distance, but she'd just say, "Why are you so petty? They're all like brothers from the old neighborhood." Fine. I immediately called my female friend who just returned from overseas. My wife wasn't happy about that. She stayed out all night again. I scrolled through Snapchat and saw a new video posted by Asher Hayes, one of her guy friends. My wife was in a crowd of men, glass in hand, smiling brightly. I didn't feel even a flicker of anger. I turned off my phone and didn't call her incessantly like I used to. I slept straight through till morning. The next day, she came home with breakfast, her heavy makeup still smudged. She looked at me sweetly and started to explain. "Darling, I'm so sorry. Asher just got back, so everyone gathered for a reunion. It got super late, and I didn't want to disturb your sleep, so I just stayed at a hotel with them. But don't worry, honey. I didn't share a bed with any of them." This time she made sure to emphasize that she hadn't slept in the same bed as Asher. The last time she stayed out, we had a huge fight. I was furious that she was a married woman and yet had absolutely no boundaries, out drinking with guys every other night. But she cried and called me petty. She swore they were all like brothers from the old neighborhood, her best guy friends. Just thinking about her best guy friends made my blood boil. Asher Hayes was the one I resented most. Asher was Maya's childhood sweetheart. They'd grown up together. In today's terms, Asher was Maya's closest male confidant, her male bestie. But to me, their relationship had no boundaries. More than once I'd seen a drunk Maya snuggled into Asher's arm, playfully whining. They even shared the same drinking glass, completely unbothered. At first, Maya would patiently explain things to me. She'd reassure me, trying to give me peace of mind. But as time went on, she grew increasingly impatient. She'd just throw out one line, "Asher and I have absolutely nothing going on. If something was going to happen between us, it would have happened already. You wouldn't even be my husband." Of course, her guy friends all chimed in to defend her. We grew up together. We've always treated Maya like our little sister. Don't take it the wrong way, alright? We're just like family. Family? What kind of brother and sister sit on each other's laps and feed each other? It made my stomach churn. I told my wife countless times that I was uncomfortable. I didn't like her going out with them at night. Somehow, that reached their ears, and suddenly her good brothers started making snide, passive-aggressive remarks about me. "Oh, Maya, don't drink anymore. Your husband will blame us for getting you drunk. Dude, Maya's all yours now. We wouldn't dare take her home anymore." They said all these things right in front of me. Gradually, they all started to think I was petty, not a real man. My relationship with my wife started to cool. Snapping back to reality, Maya handed me a freshly made coffee and wrapped her arms around me from behind. "Husband, are you still mad? Don't be mad, please. They're just friends to me. You're way more important." I didn't say anything. "Don't be mad. Let's go on a trip next week, just the two of us. A romantic getaway. Haven't you always wanted to go hiking? I'll go with you." I was an outdoor enthusiast. I'd tried to get Maya to go with me before, but she'd always refused. Her friends even laughed at me when they found out. "Hiking? Isn't that what old people do? Our Princess Maya can't get a tan on a mountain." Gradually, I stopped bringing it up. Now my wife was actually suggesting it herself. A flicker of hope ignited inside me. Seeing my expression soften, she smiled and promised to arrange everything for the trip. For the next few days, she behaved well. She didn't go out at night. But then I saw Asher post hiking photos, the exact mountain I'd mentioned. And in the corner of one picture, I spotted a pair of hands. The ring on one of them was unmistakably Maya's. I grabbed my phone and confronted her with the photo. "You went hiking with him?" Her face immediately flushed with embarrassment and panic. "I was just scouting out the trail. I mean, I'm going with you in a few days, right?" It was the first time I'd ever heard of anyone needing to scout a hiking trail. Didn't her friends call hiking old people's entertainment? Why were they suddenly so enthusiastic now? "I asked you to go before and you refused. But now you're all over it with Asher, Maya Harrington. How can I not overthink this?" Seeing me get angry, her temper flared too. "I told you I was just scouting the trail. If you're so bothered, let's go right now. You want to hike, right? We'll go together right now." She pulled my hand, dragging me toward the door. I yanked my hand away. "No need." I walked into the bedroom and started packing my suitcase. Maya stared at me, shocked. "What are you doing?" "My mom's sick. I'm going home to see her." I'd married Maya right after college. Since she was an only child and couldn't leave her parents, I'd moved 1,000 miles away to settle in her city. But I was an only child too. Now my mom was sick, and I couldn't even be there for her. Maya froze. For a moment, several emotions flashed across her face. A silent, suffocating tension filled the air. Why didn't you tell me, honey? I'm sad that mom's sick too. Do you need me to come with you? I bent down, packed the last item, and closed my suitcase. No need. Anyone who truly wanted to go wouldn't have to ask. That night, I took a direct flight to City B. It had been 2 years since I'd gone home to see my parents. Looking at my mother in her hospital bed, a wave of guilt washed over me. Leo, why are you here? Where's Maya? Mom, I came to see you. Maya's pretty busy with work. My mother didn't have many wishes, only that our family life would be harmonious. Good, good. It's nothing serious. Don't worry about me. You didn't have to come. What a waste of your time. I spent the next few days taking care of her. Maya, on the other hand, kept checking in constantly. Every day she'd ask when I was coming back. After my mother recovered, she urged me to return to City A, so I told Maya the date of my return. The day I landed at City A Airport, a luxury sedan pulled up in front of me. My wife sat in the passenger seat, waving. Honey, over here. I looked closer. The driver was Asher Hayes. Maya got out to greet me, while Asher smirked. Leo Sterling. You can handle your own bags, right? I won't bother getting out. I didn't reply, just put my suitcase in the trunk myself. Maya linked her arm through mine affectionately. Honey, you're finally back. Asher heard you were returning and offered to pick you up himself. I opened the back passenger door, expecting my wife to join me, but she casually opened the front door and sat beside him. Asher grinned, resting his hand on her shoulder, then glanced back at me. Leo, seriously. I just wasn't comfortable with Maya coming to pick you up alone. What a pathetic man, always relying on his woman. He's totally beneath me. Maya looked awkward and quickly changed the subject, opening her phone to show me a group chat. Honey, Asher really did offer to pick you up, okay? Don't misunderstand. I've been so good these past few days, waiting for you at home every single day. That group chat had all their old neighborhood friends in it, everyone but me. I pressed my lips together. It's fine. I ignored the challenge in Asher's eyes. He always said he was afraid I'd misunderstand, yet he constantly did things to make me misunderstand. How many nights had she stayed out? How many times had she been drunk somewhere else? Since the news of our fight spread, Asher's blatant touching had turned into subtle, sneaky gestures. Normally, this would have infuriated me, but now I couldn't care less. Can you wait a few minutes? I'm waiting for a friend. A stunning woman walked toward us, Chloe Vance, in heels, dragging a suitcase. Leo, there you are. I finally found you. She pouted playfully. You're so inconsiderate, not waiting for me. Do you know how long I dragged this suitcase around looking for you? Chloe opened the car door and slid in beside me, linking her arm through mine. This is my first time in City A. I don't know anyone, so you'll have to take responsibility for me. Maya and Asher froze. They didn't understand what I was doing. Maya frowned deeply. Honey, is this who you were waiting for? Before I could reply, Chloe introduced herself. Hi, everyone. I'm Chloe Vance, and Leo and I grew up together. Grew up together? Maya's tone was sharp. Yup. We're best buddies, right, Leo? Chloe said cheerfully, hooking her arm over my shoulder. I glanced at Maya in the passenger seat. She was completely speechless. Meanwhile, Chloe chatted away with me the whole ride. Oh my gosh, Leo, it's so beautiful. Look, Leo, do you remember when we were kids? The front of the car was eerily quiet. Normally, Asher would never stop talking. He'd pull Maya into every conversation. But now Maya's responses were short and clipped. After dropping Chloe off at her hotel, Maya told Asher to pull over, then joined me in the back seat. Her face was black with fury. Why did you move to the back? What? I'm not allowed to sit here? What exactly is that woman to you? I closed my eyes, feigning sleep. I'm really tired. Let's just go home. Maya stormed into the house without a word. I'd just changed my shoes when I saw her sitting on the sofa, arms crossed, glaring. I ignored her and began unpacking. After a while, she spoke. What exactly is your relationship with that Chloe Vance? I told you, she's a buddy. A buddy? You're calling a woman your buddy? That woman was all over you. Were you seeing her while you were home? Her questions came like a machine gun. She stood up and threw a cushion at me. I dodged it calmly. She's a good person. As a friend, what does it matter if she's a man or a woman? Of course it matters. You're married. How can you call another woman your buddy? Oh really? Aren't you married? And you're still calling all those men from your old neighborhood your buddies? Maya was stunned. Shock, shame, and regret flickered across her face. After a pause, she muttered through gritted teeth, "They're different. I grew up with them. I know everything about them." I cut her off. "Chloe and I are childhood friends too. What's so different about that? Can't you trust me?" Maya was speechless. For days, she gave me the silent treatment. I pretended not to notice. That weekend, we went to her parents' house for dinner. Her mother noticed the tension and sighed. "Maya, Leo moved away from his hometown for you. You can't keep acting like a spoiled princess." Then she turned to me kindly. "Leo, Maya's been pampered since she was little. Don't take it too seriously. Married couples have ups and downs. You have to be understanding." Maya squeezed my hand. "Husband." But before she could finish, someone interrupted. "Maya, why didn't you tell me you were coming for dinner?" Asher Hayes walked in. He hooked his arm around Maya's neck. She awkwardly pushed his hand away and glanced at me with embarrassment. Asher noticed me and sneered. "Oh, Leo's here too." Behind him came a whole group of their old neighborhood friends. "Maya, you're here. Why didn't you invite us to hang out? It's rare for everyone to be together like this." Maya's face lit up. She looked at me pleadingly, hoping I'd agree. Everyone else was staring, waiting for my answer. They didn't want me there, but they wanted her. I wiped my mouth and said coolly, "Okay." The room fell silent. A few minutes later, Maya said carefully, "Then I'll be back early. You don't have to come pick me up. They'll take me home. I promise I'll be back early this time." I just smiled quietly and kept eating. Before they even walked out the door, I heard one of them whisper, "Did Leo change his mind? He's actually letting Maya go out with us." He stopped at our table with a lazy tilt of his glass, the ice ringing like a bell that summoned all eyes. His cologne smelled like gasoline cut with citrus. He didn't look at me, he looked through me, at my father-in-law, as if the old man were an exhibit behind glass. "Cute," he said, scanning the menu I'd propped up. "Starter pack stuff. You boys splitting a well gin and calling it craft?" I felt my jaw tense. My father-in-law, Victor, only chuckled. He had the kind of laugh that folded crowds around it. He dabbed his mouth with a napkin, a ritual that bought him time to read people. "I asked my son-in-law to bring me Where the Young Thrive," he said. "If you're the representative sample, I may ask for a refund." The man's smirk shrank a shade. He hooked a thumb back at the corner booth where two guys in hoodies pretended not to watch. "I'm the audit," he said. "Quality control. I keep the wrong element out." "The wrong element is the one still talking when no one invited him," I said quietly. He looked at me then, and I registered the details: the careful haircut, the ring with the obsidian square, the faded scar at the corner of his mouth that hinted at a childhood where he ran faster than consequences. "Name's Asher," he said. He said it expecting recognition. "I consult. Security, image, investor relations. Friendly tip? This place doesn't sell exclusivity, it sells the feeling. If the room gets any more ordinary, the price point drops." Behind the bar, my wife, Lila, was smiling in that practiced way that landed somewhere shy of warmth. She'd cut bangs for the opening week, they made her look softer, almost schoolgirl. When her gaze reached our table, the smile twitched and failed. I watched her mouth form a quick "Are you okay?" around the glass she was stacking. I lifted a hand to tell her we were fine. Asher's eyes tracked that gesture like a hawk. He leaned in, breath sweet and chemical. "I don't think you are," he murmured. Word to the wise, places like this only thrive when the story inside the room is better than the story outside. "Tonight, you've got the wrong headline." Victor reached for his water. I put a hand over it without thinking. The glass was beaded with condensation, but the scent was wrong. Faint. Almond, under the citrus, under the gin that lingered from the shaker. Not a poison, my brain insisted, a garnish, maybe an orgeat ghost. Except we hadn't ordered anything with orgeat. "Give me that," Victor said, amused. He lifted the glass before I could stop him and took a sip. The floor slid 5 degrees under me. "Sir," I said to Asher, and my voice sounded far too calm in my own ears. "You're done at this table." "Relax," he said, the word coasting on a chuckle. "If I wanted trouble, I'd bring men who look like it." Victor set the glass down. "Tastes like an old joke," he said, face unchanging, and then his pupils spread, a black tide tipping into the iris. His fingers tightened on the napkin. A tremor fluttered through the tendons in his wrist. "Lila," I said across the room, my voice already moving before I did. "Safe kit." We'd made a ritual of it. Lila had rolled her eyes when I installed the little acrylic caddy under the pass, test strips, activated charcoal, the contact card for ride-share-only drivers we actually knew, laminated steps in case a bartender froze. "It's a cocktail bar, Eli," she'd said, "that last winter we almost broke. You can't bubble wrap the night." But she'd kept it, and now, with her smile gone, she slid the caddy across the counter to me like a surgeon sliding a tray. The room seemed to narrow around the rectangle of our table, the bass line from the speakers slipping under the floors like a second heartbeat. "I'm okay," Victor said, except his hands weren't. They fluttered as if trying to lift a memory. "It's going to be okay," I told him, and I believed it because I needed to. I ran a strip through the water and watched the little square flower from cream to ghost blue. I didn't need it to tell me anything, my hands already knew the sequence. Call 911, keep him upright, water only if he could swallow without coughing, eyes on his breathing, time the seconds between blinks because it kept your own from blurring. "What are you doing?" Asher asked mildly, a man watching a street performer pretend to juggle knives. I lifted my phone, not to film but to fix. "Calling an ambulance," I said. "And calling you a cab if the police don't do it first." He leaned his hip on the chair across from me, uninvited. "Big talk. I consult for her, you know." He sipped from his own glass. "Your wife? She asked me to clean the room up. Bring in a burnish. Class attracts class, and class hates the scent of resentment. What's your contribution again?" Lila was at my side now, one hand on Victor's shoulder, the other on my forearm with a pressure that asked for my eyes. "I didn't ask him to do this," she whispered. "What did you ask him to do?" I asked back. The paramedics moved like water through tight spaces, they always do. They backed Asher off the chair with a look that made him laugh and spread his hands. "I'm collaborating," he told anyone who would listen. "My girl owns the place. We care about safety." I watched them guide Victor's breathing back down, the way the tightness in his jaw eased, the color warmed. I watched him rasp something that made the lead medic grin. I watched my wife watch me and knew what she wanted, not forgiveness, not even belief. She wanted me to perform the version of myself who soothed rooms into forgetting. "I'll meet you at the hospital," I told the medics, and when they rolled Victor out, I turned to Asher and put my phone flat on the table between us, camera facing up, the black eye of it remembering everything. "If you come near my family again," I said quietly, "I won't shout. I'll audit. Paper first. Then rooms." He clucked his tongue. "You talk like you've been somebody," he said, and for the first time I saw a flicker in him that looked like interest. "But I can fix the tone in here, Eli. That's what I do. The old money guys with their wives in sequins want a stage, not a sermon, and your overbuilt conscience reads as cold fluorescent." He was still talking when I left. At 2 a.m, hospital coffee turns the mouth to chalk. Victor slept with his shoulders angled as if he were telling a joke even in rest. The ER doctor, a woman with braid-thick hair and the posture of a lighthouse, told me what I already knew and none of what I really wanted. He'd be fine. People weaponize nights. The test strip's color mattered less than the timing of our call. Lila arrived with a backpack and the smallest face I'd ever seen on her. She stood in the doorway like a student who'd arrived late to class and knew the professor had a rule. "He's okay?" she asked. "He will be," I said. I didn't step toward her. The air between us felt like a glass we'd both breathed against, blurred with fingerprints. "I didn't invite him to make a scene," she said. Her hands wouldn't stop moving, folding and unfolding the strap of the backpack. "I asked him to keep out the mess that swarms when there's buzz. He was one of my early regulars when I bartended at the old place. He knows the industry. He knows what the room wants." "And what do you want?" I asked. She swallowed. The backpack strap creaked. "I want my dream not to crater because you hate what it does to your heart." There it was, the old fight, the loop we never broke. I could feel the shape of my side of it rising like steam, how the first version of us had died the night I woke on a sidewalk with the light of a phone camera painting my cheekbones, a stranger's voice saying, "Bro, you alive?" And the cold certainty that I hadn't watched my drink after the second pour. How the rebirth hadn't made me an evangelist, just somebody who refused to pretend atmosphere justified collateral damage. How I'd built the safety kits and the driver list and the staff training modules because I wanted our bar to be the place where you weren't asked to barter your body for the story. "I want you safe," I said finally. "And I want rooms you own not to be run by men who look at you like an acquisition." She flinched at the word. It was small. But it was enough. Victor stirred then, eyes blinking open with the stubborn dignity of an old fox. Do we get Jell-O or is that slander? He croaked. Lime, I said. Or whatever the green flavor is. He smiled at me, and then at Lila, and something in the angle of it made my scalp prickle. It held too much knowledge. He reached for her hand. Tonight was a gift, he said. Ugly wrapping paper, but I've had worse. A gift? Lila asked. She looked like she couldn't decide whether to laugh or walk out. Victor's gaze flicked between us. You've both been hiding your bodies in the pose of the reasonable one. Boring. The pose doesn't hold when someone kicks the leg. It's better this way. 3 days later, somebody kicked harder. The opening weekend crescendoed into a Thursday where the city tasted metallic and mean. We sold out 2 seatings because a food blogger with a ring light had called our martini an apology you actually keep. Asher was out of sight but not absent. His fingerprints were in the curated line outside, in the glittering women with bored boyfriends, in the suit with the pocket square who told the hostess he knew the family. I was 3 deep at the pass when the smell hit, a whisper of summer gasoline under the chill of the ice well. The music throbbed, someone laughed too hard near the bathroom, the bouncer's radio hissed with a private language. The storeroom door was ajar. It shouldn't have been. I pushed through crates and found the source, a box of bar mats stacked against the wall, the rubber teeth slick with something that didn't belong to citrus or bleach. I peeled one back and found a small glass bottle rolled into the hollow behind it. The label had been peeled off with patient fingers. The cap was not fully tight. Lila, I said, and my voice must have held something she recognized, because she was there before I finished the name. Her eyes flared. Who's been back here? I asked. She shook her head, the bangs she'd cut for show now a wet fringe with work. Everyone tonight, she said. We're understaffed and overhyped. I lifted the bottle with a napkin. The liquid sloshing inside caught the light in a way that made my skin crawl, as if it wanted to be seen and hadn't been. Fire code, I said. It wasn't theatrical. It was the rule. We empty the room when a rule that keeps strangers alive is blinking red. Right now. Her hand caught my sleeve. If we empty for a smell, we don't get them back, she said, voice thin. This isn't a community center, it's a business. This is a decision, I said. Which way do you want to be rich? A muscle jumped in her cheek. She nodded. She went. The lights brightened, the music collapsed into a polite felt silence, and the room made the sound all rooms make when they have to change shape, a hum of confusion and a ripple of resistance. Our staff moved like we'd drilled it, because we had. The bartender kept pouring waters as if that were the real drink. The hostess smiled as if the night had grown a surprise second act on the sidewalk. The bouncer made the street feel like an extension of the bar and not a rejection. On the sidewalk, Asher appeared the way a character appears when a story needs gasoline. He wore that same little smile, the one that didn't need to be big to be mean. Bold move, he said. It reads as fear. It reads as safety, I said. It reads as amateur, he said, and his eyes cut to Lila with a confidential tenderness that I recognized and loathed. Baby, your brand can't survive another apology tour. She didn't flinch. We're out, she told him, and I saw how it cost her, the way her throat worked after. If you brought this inside my walls, you'll never see a percentage point again. He laughed, genuine this time. Brought what? Your boy's paranoia? Sweetheart, your boy never got over his sidewalk resurrection. He's addicted to saving people so he can keep hating the party. I handed him the bottle, wrapped in a zip bag now. I'd already texted the video of me finding it to a drive I controlled and a lawyer whose number lived under pizza. Asher weighed the bottle in his palm, then looked up, amused. That could be anything, he said. And it will be when the right person says it was. The fire inspector came before the story could become rumor. He didn't like me, he didn't dislike me. He liked code. He liked forms. He liked what couldn't be argued. He liked the little bottle even less when I showed him the way the mats had been stacked and how the vent fan above the storeroom door had been toggled off. He asked for our security footage. I pointed at the ceiling camera whose red I should have been amber. It was black. The feed had been looped. At 6:43, a man in a ball cap walked into frame and then into frame and then into frame, as if the night were caught in a nervous laugh. I felt my rebirth again, not the romance version but the stupid one. You wake up alive and you still have to go home and finish the bills and forgive no one and build a system so you don't break. I breathed through my nose. I didn't look at Lila. The inspector posted a temporary closure. The room made a different sound then, the wounded one. People swore. Someone filmed. The line dissolved like sugar in hot tea. We went home to a kitchen that smelled like old coffee and salt. Victor sat at the table in a sweater he'd stolen from my closet years ago. It fit him better than it ever fit me. He had a folder on the table. He touched it the way a priest touches a book. "Sit," he said. Lila sat. I didn't. The folder looked like paperwork and I had no room in me for one more thing that turned feeling into terms. Victor waited, and when I didn't move, he opened the folder himself. "I should have told you both sooner," he said. He slid a document across to Lila. "When you took the first chunk of money from me, I attached a condition that required an addendum if you brought in any consultant with authority over staff or image. You signed. You were in a hurry. You wanted to make rent and make a name. The addendum put those hires under my audit." Lila blinked. "You're not my investor," she said automatically. "You're family." "I'm both." Victor's eyes warmed. "And 3 months ago, when you insisted on bringing in Asher as a fixer, I ran his name. I didn't like what it sat next to. Insurance. Repositioning. A chain of bars that closed for remodeling and never opened. A string of wives who learned to live with a man who loved risk the way other men loved mourning." He turned to me. "I bought his paper," he said simply. "I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you would see it without me. I bought it for $1. That's what fear is worth when a man is leveraged and thinks he's a king." The kitchen seemed to tilt. "You own Asher's stake," I said. "I own the leverage," Victor said. "And I changed the conditions on the insurance. If a single safety code was breached, the payout moves to a trust. Not to the business. Not to Lila. To the staff, and to a foundation that funds rides home and cameras that don't loop." Lila's hands lifted and fell uselessly on the table. "You thought I'd burn my own bar," she whispered. "I thought you'd let a man like Asher convince you there were faster ways to the top of the feed," Victor said, gentler than the words merited. "You grew up learning to turn hunger into charm. Men who sell buzz to women like you are matchstick salesmen dressed as architects." The kitchen clock clicked. Outside, the city talked to itself in sirens. Lila scrubbed her hands over her face. When she looked at me, the mask was gone. "I wanted to win," she said. "I wanted to walk into a room and be the room. I didn't think about the cost because I didn't want to do the math." "You wanted to be invulnerable," I said. "Tonight you were in charge." "And you were right," she said, and there was no dramatics in it, just a simple wire she handed me that felt like both apology and resignation. "You were right about the kit. About the training. About the bottle behind the mats. He didn't put it there with his own hand, but it was his hand, Eli." I waited for the rush of vindication that used to carry me. It didn't come. Just a quiet, exhausted love for the room I had tried to build and for the people who walked into it trusting us with their night. Victor pushed another paper toward me then, a different kind of wire. "My addendum had a second clause," he said. "If the bar closed for a safety breach caused by a consultant or outside fixer, managerial control passed temporarily to my designee for 180 days. I named you." Lila made a low sound that could have been a laugh if it had found enough air. "Of course," she said. "Of course you did." "I'm not taking it," I said, the refusal rising reflexively out of old, protective habits. "You built this. You named it, you picked the tile, you sold the narrative. I won't take your house away because a wolf knocked." "You won't be taking it," Victor said. "You'll be holding it while she learns how to lock her doors." Lila lifted her chin. "I don't need a keeper." "You need a partner who won't sell your oxygen for claps," Victor said. "And maybe a season of being bored with integrity." She stood then and crossed to the sink. The action of filling a glass gave her a script for her shaking hands. "What about my choice?" She asked the faucet, the window, the old city brick. "What about my marriage?" Sometimes a twist arrives not from a hidden letter under the floorboard but from a small, human truth spoken at the wrong volume. Victor sighed. "My girl," he said, "your marriage ended the night you asked a man with a camera-ready smirk to be the heartbeat of your room because your husband's heartbeat annoyed you." It should have felt like betrayal to hear it from him, but it felt like relief. The word ended didn't crash, it landed. "I'm not absolved," I said softly. "I let the pose do my talking. I punished you with silence because it felt holier than a fight." Lila turned, water sloshing at the rim of the glass. Her eyes were glassy but dry. "I wanted a husband," she said. "I turned you into a brand manager in my head." "We're both lousy at the roles we cast each other in," I said. "Maybe we stop casting." "Meaning?" she asked. Her voice wasn't brittle. It was curious. "Meaning I'll take Victor's clause," I said. 180 days. I will run the bar like a room that forgives no shortcut. I'll shutter every door Asher thought was profit. I'll pay the staff what we should have paid them before the hype. We will reopen when we have earned the right to ask strangers to trust us again. And at home, I paused, because the next words tasted like copper and like clean air. We take space. Separate places. Not punitive. Not for headlines. To figure out who we are when we're not making each other into excuses. Asher texted at dawn, because men like him always do their best work when you're softest. He wrote, "You looked good on camera, Boy Scout. Let's talk before the board talks." A selfie of him in a car with leather seats followed, one I crinkled, as if we were in on a joke together. I didn't answer. I forwarded the text to Victor's lawyer. Then I took a shower that ran hot until the mirror cried, and when I got out, Lila had already packed. She stood in the doorway with a duffel and the ring I'd put on her finger 3 years and 1 lifetime ago, turning on her palm like she was trying to read it. "You were the only person who looked at me when I was just noise behind somebody else's story," she said. "I don't know how to be the person you used to love. I don't know how to be the person you need. But I want to be the person who doesn't flinch at the tab when the bill is my fault." "That's already a different person," I said. I didn't ask her to stay. I didn't ask her to leave. We touched foreheads like kids. Then she went. The next week moved with the slow momentum of a train yard. The inspector walked our space twice and made me read the paragraphs out loud that I'd skimmed when we were young and brilliant. The insurance adjuster came with pale hands and a pleasant voice and a question about brand preservation that I answered with a printout of our training schedule and a list of staff names with bonuses attached. The staff came in even when they didn't need to, drinking coffee and making playlists and arguing about glassware like people argue when they love a thing they're afraid will die. On day 12 of the closure, the police finally knocked on a different door. It turns out consultants who falsify safety logs and loop cameras don't stop at bars when they find a formula that pays. It turns out that when you hand a bottle to an inspector and a phone to a lawyer, stories receive new narrators. It turns out that the cost of buzz is cheaper than the cost of being found out, and men like Asher only know one currency. The night we reopened, the room started shapeless and resolved as the hours stacked. It felt like stepping into a body that had healed wrong once and was now relearning its own gait. Victor claimed a corner stool and held court without words. Lila came late and stood near the back, hair swept off her face, a black dress without armor. She didn't come behind the bar. She didn't need to. Her eyes met mine across the room. This time, the smile reached. At midnight, Elena Ward walked in, one of the owners from a group across town who'd sent flowers when we closed with a card that said simply, "Yes, and?" She climbed onto the open stool at the end of the bar and watched the room with the clean, appraising intelligence of a woman who had survived the same weather. When I set a water down, she laughed. "I'm not the enemy," she said. "I came to talk terms." "What terms?" I asked. "The terms where you bring your systems across town and teach my babies how not to set themselves on fire," she said. "You don't belong in just one room." I should have felt flattered, hungry, triumphant. I felt grateful and wary. "I belong where I'm accountable," I said. "That can be more than one place," she said, and when she left her card, she didn't tuck it into my palm like a promise. She put it in a dish where we kept the little paper umbrellas we never used because that was the point. She knew the difference between decoration and function. It made something in me quiet in a good way. We closed that night with the windows steaming and the tips high and the playlist soft enough that you could hear real voices. On the walk home, Victor kept an old man's pace that suited me. The city had spent its loudness and lay there like a big animal finally asleep. "You surprised me," he said. "I surprised me, too," I said. He nodded toward the ring of light our doorway made on the sidewalk. "You know the thing you did when you put the phone on the table? When you said you'd audit?" "Yeah," I said, unsure which part he meant. "Do it to yourself, every season," he said. "Write down the rooms you serve. Check the locks. See if the story you're telling is still true." I thought of Lila in a different apartment, of the trust payouts to busboys who had once slept in cars, of Elena's card with its clean serif font waiting in a dish next to paper umbrellas. I thought of the bottle behind the mats and the looped camera and the test strip that bloomed the color of ghosted violets. I thought of the kid I'd been on the sidewalk, blinking at the world like it had restarted without my permission. "I will," I said. He smiled. "Good. Now bring me the menu with the nonsense you built. I want to try the one that tastes like regret." "It's called second service," I said. "And it's not nonsense." He laughed. "Nothing is, if you build it honestly." Inside, the air held the faint residue of smoke and citrus and effort. I stood behind the bar and watched my hands move, A muscle memory that wasn't muscle, exactly, but something more like faith. I made Victor the drink that tasted like the moment the room had emptied and we decided to earn it back. He sipped. He frowned. He sipped again and nodded like a man hearing the punchline after all. We didn't get the marriage back that night. That would have been a cheaper story. What we got was a room that kept its promises and a circle of people who came because we had paid for their safety with our pride. Later, when the lights were half down and the staff were counting and the ice wells sighed their tired sigh, I took Elena's card from the dish and turned it over. On the back, in small neat letters I hadn't noticed before, she had written, "Build the thing you wished existed when you woke up." I slid the card back. I scrubbed the bar until the wood shone like a quiet plan. I thought about the rooms I wanted to serve and the locks I needed to check and the stories I no longer had to perform. The night folded around us like a coat that actually fit, and somewhere out in the city I could feel tomorrow taking its first, careful breath.